Star Families to build communities around the world that empower military families, including right here in New York City. Learn how you can help by visiting bluestarfam.org. Really good stuff there. All right, take a turn. Time now for Four Things First. Brandon, buddy, you're up first. You love Bill Belichick talking about one of the best moments of his career, and it involved the Jets.
Yeah, Jenna, enough's enough. I'm tired of it. I'm coming back. No more slander on my team. Not from Bill Belichick, not from Nick Wright, not from Jenna Wolf, not from you, Kevin Wiles. Enough is enough. This guy said this was his best moment, one of his greatest moments of his career, to not take the Jets job. We're already 0-9. We lost our two best players. Sam Darnold is hurt. Enough's enough. Jets, I'm coming home.
Point.
Help is on the way. Help is on the way.
I love it.
That was just excellent. Hey, the Sixers revealed their City Edition jerseys. Had a fun little Easter egg in there. There's a little TTP, trust the process, Sam Hinkie to Daryl Morey. Now, look at the guy, a little boathouse row there. Go down there, have a few Yinglings on the Schuylkill River. Now, I was like, there's a lot of pushback. Like, I thought we were getting the classic kind of Iverson black jerseys. And I was like, I didn't really love these. Then lo and behold, Iverson comes on the gram and says, no, it's not the jersey, it's just the model. Look at this, old Slam cover, fantastic job. All of a sudden I started liking the jerseys even more, Nick.
I like the jerseys. Nice. Good to see our guy AI. I want to go back to this, the greatest highlight in sports history. I have a proposal for the people at the Masters, at Augusta National. We know they're very progressive folks. They like making major changes. They're known for that. If someone does this in the actual Masters, they should get a 0 on the hole. So not a 1, which is -2 on your scorecard, a 0. If you're trailing on Saturday, need to make up ground, go for the skip over the water, hole-in-one. You will get a 0, count for -3 for your scorecard, get back in it. It's the greatest golf shot I've ever seen, and it might be the greatest shot in sports history.
It is. In 1986, guys, I loved two people, Michael J. Fox and Kevin Elster, both teen heartthrobs. Mets won the title that year. They've been dreadful almost every single year since. Enter new owner Steve Cohen, who came out yesterday trying to get everybody fired up and said, if we don't win the title in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm going to be not apoplectic, not soul-crushed, not devastated. I'm going to be, what does it say right there? Slightly disappointed. So with that, I'm going to dust off my pinups of Michael J. Fox and Kevin Elster and go back to the glory days of 1986, because I don't think this is happening in the next 3 to 5 years. All right, take a turn. Talk some hoops. Guess who is rumored to be going after Russell Westbrook? How about the Clippers? Russ has only played 1 season in Houston after being shipped from OKC in that Chris Paul trade. Clippers trying to overhaul that roster again 1 season after acquiring Kawhi and Paul George. So who better to break all of this down than our guy Chris Broussard? Broussard, good morning to you. Good idea or bad idea for the Clippers to deal for Russell Westbrook?
Well, first of all, to use my favorite Nick Wright word, I would be absolutely gobsmacked if this trade happened. All right. Number one, I've been told this by somebody close to the situation that is not going to happen. Number two, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for the Clippers. If I could get him with Kawhi and Paul George, you might think about it, but I don't know if that could even happen. But here's the deal. The problem with the Clippers, and I've said it many times before last year, was a lack of chemistry. Guys getting used to playing with one another on the court in what became a short and truncated season, and guys adjusting to new and different roles both on the court and off the court. We know that was all a problem. So why in the world would I bring in the greatest, biggest chemistry experiment in the league, the granddaddy of all chemistry experiments? I love Russell Westbrook. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but not only that, he will be an icon in the future because of his 3 triple-double seasons. However, Russ is so unique, so different, such an energetic player. He doesn't fit in. he comes in and everything changes. And the Clippers don't have to do that. They're not in that position where they need an overhaul. I mean, maybe if Brandon Marshall was the GM, I think he said weeks ago that he would blow it up. Maybe Brandon would do it. All they need are a few tweaks here and there, additions here and there, and that's not Russ. So, no, I do not like this. Oh, my God.
Okay. I love it. That's exactly what they need.
Well, so here's the deal.
Go ahead,
The
Nick.
Clippers have two major problems. One is, in order to add a truly impactful star-level player, you have to trade Paul George. It's the only way to make the salaries work. So could you trade Paul George for Russ and something? Yeah, you probably could. I don't know if that gets you much closer. I would imagine the Clippers would love to get Drew Holiday. Could you get Drew Holiday and Jackson Hayes for Paul George? Probably. But if you're not trading Paul George, it's just going to be eating around the margins. You're not making any major systemic change. Here, though, is the other problem for the Clippers. Because they lost to the Nuggets, we are all saying, oh, it was chemistry. It was the way they collapsed at the end. The loss to the Nuggets prevented them from seeing in real time over a 7-game series that actually would have been a 5-game series against the Lakers what their real Achilles heel would have been and is going to be next year. A lack of size. So all these things, I know Kawhi Leonard gets to name the arena. He gets to pick when they practice, when the team flight goes. He also evidently gets to build the roster. And he wants high IQ players. I don't know if Russ technically qualifies as that. And he wants a floor general. That's great. You need someone who's 6'11", though, and you ain't got it. And you would have seen that had they played the Lakers. But they flamed out so spectacularly and so historically and so embarrassingly the round before, they didn't even get to see what their real problem is. So, no, you can't make the salaries work realistically, Wilds, unless you're trading Paul George. And I don't think trading Paul George for Russ makes you appreciably better. Yep. So I don't think this is their biggest need, and I don't think it's going to happen, Wilds.
Also, I don't think the Rockets want to do this. I think the Rockets are still closer to missing the playoffs than winning the championship. So I think they need to make a move, but I don't know if it's just sending Russ to another team in the Western Conference makes any sense. Broussard, you brought up an interesting point about Russ being an icon. I think he's in the weird spot where he doesn't necessarily need to win a championship. I think Harden needs to win a championship. I'd like if CP3 won a championship, but for some reason, maybe just because he's such an electric player, Russ doesn't. The other half of this rumor was Russ to New York, and I think it'd be better if Russ just got the keys to the car, could drive it as fast as he wants, could crash it into a few trees if he had to, which will happen, but do it in New York with the bright lights. So I think that's what he needs. That would be best for his legacy moving forward, not to championship chase.
A great point, Wilds. And I've said this. Look, when we think about Oscar Robertson, what's the first thing we think of? He averaged a triple-double for an entire season. It wasn't that, you know what, in 1971, he actually won the championship with Lou Alcindor, now, of course, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I agree. It's the same thing with Russ. His legacy, unless triple-double seasons become commonplace, right? Unless Luka does it and maybe LeBron does it and other players start doing it here and there. His legacy is going to be, this guy was the only player ever to average 3 straight triple-double seasons. It's not going to be about any championship he wins later in his career. So I do agree with you there, although it might make sense for Houston to make this move because you're not winning it with Russ, and he's got 3 years, $132 million left on his deal. So they are wise to start looking around to see what they can get for him because they're built to play small ball. And now that Mike D'Antoni's not the coach, it's going to be tough to play the style that fits this roster.
Well, Chris, you're right. You got me down. You have me down pat. Like, look, this can absolutely work. And the reason why, because what we talked about, a month or two ago when those guys were still in the bubble, They need an attitude adjustment, and Russ can bring that. And a lot of times we say as players, oh, we don't listen to the media, we don't hear you. But there's one thing that we always hear, the thing that the media says over and over and over again. So what you talked about when it came to Russell Westbrook of being that guy who comes in and just changing the entire environment, like he hears that, he knows that. Russ showed last year that he was trying to adapt, that he was trying to change. So with that being understood, Russ can absolutely come in here and be the guy that the Clippers need. Now, for me, the bigger question is not about Russell Westbrook. It's more about James Harden, because if you're talking about moving Westbrook, then who are you going to put next to James Harden? James Harden's not going to sit in Houston just to have a lame duck season. James Harden wants to win a championship. So to me, the conversation quickly shifts from Westbrook. If this is a real conversation, regardless of where he goes, it quickly shifts to what happens to James Harden.
Well, right now, that's why it's a rumor. There is another rumor out there. Another team out west apparently in the market for a point guard. The Phoenix Suns have reportedly discussed trading for the aforementioned Chris Paul from OKC. Suns were the bubble darlings, remember, going an impressive 8-0. Broussard, let me send it back to you. That's a young team out there. How much would they benefit from adding a